Welcome back to my shitty kitchen, as always, in a shitty state. And there's a lot of things which are in a shitty state, and I've got to be very careful what I say here. But my thoughts, my opinions are obviously my own. But I can only have an honest reaction to things as they present themselves to me. And I want to talk about a game I've just finished. You won't see the series on my channel until the beginning of January. January the 5th, I think, because of the games that I've played already. I do full playthroughs of games, as you well know. So therefore, one game could take me 10 episodes, could take me 20 episodes, therefore 10 days, 20 days, or however long it takes. So therefore I have a VR video scheduled for every day until the middle of January already, January 2025. Ember Souls. Now, going back a few months, there were a series of games announced, and I made a list of games that I wanted to buy, I wanted to play. Ember Souls wasn't on that list. It sort of crept up on me. But I read some reviews. After having played Arizona Sunshine Remake, Into Black, Batman Arkham Shadow, Metro Awakening. After having played those, I needed another game to play, and Ember Souls kind of crept up on me. And I based my purchase on reviews. Yep. I based my purchase on reviews. Now there are a very small amount of YouTube VR showcases reviewers that I trust. Very small group that I trust their opinions. But I suppose I should have listened to the alarm bells in my head. I noticed that this particular game, Ember Souls, had not been reviewed or showcased by this small group that I trust the opinions of. But it had been reviewed, showcased by quite a lot of people. And they're all pretty much singing its praises. So I purchased the game. Now, you won't see the series until, like I've said, it begins, I think, the 5th of January, maybe the 4th of January, something like that. And for about 50% of it, the first half of it, yes, it was ridiculously, or is ridiculously janky, is the terminology that seems to be used for these things. Glitchy, buggy, in a comedic way. And I had a lot of fun. Had an awful lot of fun. There weren't too many really big issues, but there was just a lot of things of like, that didn't work. Oh, now it's working. Oh, now it's not working again. Oh, now it's working. There was a lot of that. After about the 50% stage of the game, I noticed a lot of times I was getting stuck in the scenery. A lot of times I was falling through the world. A lot of times parts of the scenery were appearing at my feet and then disappearing and then appearing and then disappearing. When I say parts of the scenery, I mean backdrops, mountains actually appearing on small terraces where I'm standing, trees rendering like multicoloured Belisha beacons that are just throbbing with every colour under the sun. Things like that. The falling through the world business is, yeah, it's when you're swimming. There seems to be like no collision detections with the walls of the areas where you're swimming. You will get stuck inside walls while swimming. The swimming is ridiculous. It's really, really poorly implemented. I've played quite a few VR games where swimming is a factor, but this is quite literally the worst example I've ever experienced. The swords and daggers and all the items that are supposedly in your inventory, you cannot put your hand anywhere closer than that without daggers and swords and inventories opening and stuff. You can't do it. And this has all been played after the second patch. Now, when a game is released, in my opinion, from an old-fashioned point of view, if a game is released, it is therefore ready to be released. It is ready for general consumption. This game's had 2 patches at the time of recording this, at the time of playing the game, at the time of finishing the game. There were quite a few times where I'd gone to go somewhere, I'd literally gone to walk somewhere, and suddenly I am somewhere else. I'm literally somewhere else. It's like, well, how the monkey funk did I get here? There was one particular section. Now, try to avoid spoilers, but you have these series of stones, infinity stones. Yeah, earth, wind, fire, water. The water stone, you access the water stone and it will freeze the water in front of you for a certain time, or around you for a certain time. Now, up until this point, you've used the water stone to freeze things. You could jump onto, say, columns of water and climb up them or climb down them. Then jump onto waterfalls and climb across them, climb up and climb down them, jump onto another column of water. You could do all that because you've frozen everything. Now, there was this one particular section where you had a water column, a waterfall, and a bar that you could swing onto. Now, you've accessed the water stone, you froze the whole thing. Jump onto the water column, climb up, jump onto the bar, jump onto the waterfall, start to climb across because it's where you needed to go. This is in chapter 18 of 20, so it's a long way into the game. You get 3/4, not even 3/4 of the way across the waterfall, and then you would just fall down. Just fall down. The waterfall is still frozen. The waterfall is still frozen. You've got to wait another good couple of minutes before it unfreezes and goes back to water. 47 times. I tried everything. Go up, go down, go every which way I could possibly do it. Then I worked out you have to freeze everything, jump onto the water column, jump onto the bar, and then hang there and wait for everything to unfreeze, and then freeze it again, and then it worked. Now, you might think, well, it sounds like, yeah, it's just that's a clever mechanic. Up until that point, 7.5 hours previous to that point, it hadn't worked like that. And there was no, and now this new mechanic. It isn't a new mechanic. It's basically, yeah, you freezed it, and that whole section of the waterfall wasn't registered as being frozen, even though it was. There was another section where you had a puzzle to solve, but behind the puzzle was a ladder, and you could climb up onto a wall. You could climb up the ladder, but you couldn't get onto the wall because you would just fall through it. You had to solve the puzzle first before you could climb up the ladder and stand on the wall. But why was the ladder there? Surely, solve the puzzle, the ladder then comes down and you can access the wall. If the wall is not accessible, it shouldn't have been accessible. That's basically a bad game design. But yeah, these are small examples that I'm mentioning now. The overall jankiness, the overall glitchiness and bugginess. Many times, I'm just going to wipe something off the screen there. Many times, I completed sections, but have no idea how. No idea how. It's just like the game went, oh, yeah, you're there now. You've gone from point A to point C without even doing point B many, many times. It's inherently broken. The game is not finished. The game is not in a finished, to be released, to be paid for state. Now, it might seem that I'm picking on this game in particular. Maybe that is true. It's just a game that has brought me to a level of exasperation I didn't think I would ever get to. There are quite a few parts of my recorded footage, and I don't like to edit stuff out, as you well know, but there are quite a few parts of my footage I had to edit out because the game brought me to using language which I am not accustomed to using. Where if I'd have used that footage, I would have probably got a big slap on the wrist from YouTube because of my language. Yeah. Like I said, I brought this game based on reviews. It wasn't on my docket. It wasn't on my list of games. But it came up and it was getting very favourable reviews. God knows how. God knows how. My own personal opinion, and I can't comment on what other people do, really. I can only comment on what I see. Now, if you're going to review a game, if you're going to showcase a game, you are going to have played the game. You're going to have completed it. I'm sorry, but you cannot have a review of a game if you haven't actually played it all the way through. To me, that then becomes a false review because you don't have all the information to give an opinion. And you therefore fall into the territory of being an influencer who is influencing in the wrong way. You're giving false influence, which then, and I apologise for saying this, but it then calls into question your honesty, your credibility, your integrity. I'm sorry, but it does. I will probably get an awful lot of flack for this video that I am going to post on my YouTube channel. But I feel strongly about this, very strongly. Video games fall into that overarching umbrella of entertainment mediums. Books, films, music, television series. It's no comic books. It's an overarching umbrella of entertainment mediums. Products that you purchase for entertainment. All the other mediums in that category, if they were published, released in the same way that video games are published, released, you would be straight away taking them back to the shop, receipt in hand, saying, I don't want this shit. I just don't want this shit. Tell me when it's bloody, finished because this is crap. But it seems to me that it is the norm for a video game to be released. I can only speak about the VR sphere. I can only speak about the virtual reality sphere. But it seems to be the norm that they are released in an unfinished state. That is the norm. And then there's a patch. And then there's another patch. And then there might be another one or another one. And then it just gets forgotten about, because the money's been accrued. It shouldn't be the criteria, should it? That shouldn't be the criteria. If you're making something, if you're creating an artistic product, a product that you have poured energy into, you want it to be the best it possibly can be before you get it out there. It's not about making money. It's not about getting likes and subscribers. It's not about that. It's about being fucking honest. It's about having some integrity and some credibility. And I'm calling into question a lot of it now within this industry. Because, yes, Ember Souls. I had a great deal of fun. Probably the first 50% of the game was, although, yeah, janky, glitchy, buggy, was a great deal of fun. But it seemed to be after the 50% mark. You know, you're sort of like 5 hours into a game. You've taken 5-6 days to get that far. That then all the serious issues start to appear. Now, by that stage, you've gone well past the, I need a refund because this is not working, this is broken. And if that is the case, if that is intentional, that the first 50% of a game is, that worked well, get it out there, and then the shit happens, that is quite literally insidious. That is the definition of insidiousness. Yeah, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm just a silly old man who views things in a different kind of way to how people view things nowadays. But yeah, in my day, if you brought a product, it worked. If it didn't work, it went back. You know, regardless. That's it. But video games seem to be an exception to the rule. It seems we turn a blind eye to these things. Now, I am not in any way influenced by any outside party. I am not affiliated to any company or anything. It's just me. I am not sponsored. I don't receive gift packages through the post. I don't receive financial rewards. I don't receive keys for games. I don't receive anything like that. It's just me. And this is my opinions. But my opinions are based solely on what happens as it happens. The most honest reaction you can ever get is that spontaneous reaction. And that is what you get from me. Nothing is scripted. Nothing is highly edited. Nothing is made to look better than what it actually is. Ember Souls, as it stands, is a broken game. It's currently sitting at 4.2 out of 5 stars on the Quest store. When I did my review for it, I gave it 4 stars because I was having so much fun. At the 50% mark, I dropped it down to 3 stars. At the 72% mark, I've dropped it down to 2 stars. I haven't changed anything in my review. I've just updated my review. I've kept all the original thoughts are there. If I was to change it now, I would have to put it down to 1 star. Quite literally that. It is not fit to have been released. Why does it need to be patched? Small things need to be patched. Once a game when a game is published, it is ready to be released. It is ready. Underline that word. It is ready to be released. If it needs a patch, then that is just to tidy up a few small things. If it needs a second patch, then it's like, yeah, sorry, we missed that. But after 2 patches and you're still falling through the bloody world, you're still getting stuck in walls, stuck in the scenery, you've still got large sections of the backdrop appearing at your feet, then it's not ready to be released. It shouldn't be having to be patched. Patching is to tidy up the little bits. It's a patch. It's not a fucking, oh shit. You know, this entire section is just completely broken. You go through a door and there's nothing there. I went through a door and there was nothing there. I went out of the door. I went back through the door. There's nothing there. I went out of the door, went back through the door, and then suddenly, an entire another section appeared. But I could go into that. I could fall through the world. Do you not get what I'm saying? Is that acceptable? Is that an acceptable level of product? I personally don't think so. And if I was the type of YouTuber that did reviews, that did showcases, I would rip it to fucking shreds. Irrespective of whether the company had said to me, oh, could you review our product? Here's a free key, here's a t-shirt, here's a fucking hat, and said, please, please, please review our product. But would you mind shining a light on it, that, you know, highlighting the good bits? I would tell them to fuck the fuck off. Because you don't buy me. Nobody buys me. You get honesty. And if a product is broken, I will tell you that is broken. And quite literally, Ember Souls is broken. Point. It's probably gonna get another patch. And another one. And another one. You know, it's not a pissing tyre on your bicycle, is it? Needs a patch? No. Yeah, you can see I'm angry, can't you? Yeah, only cost me €23. I've gone on record as saying that I have a limited budget per month. I can buy one game a month. That's that month's game. That's that money. Yeah, you could say, yeah, but you got 10 videos out of it. You had fun. Yeah, I had fun. I got 10 videos out of it from your channel. Well done. But there's at least 3 of those videos where I am not a happy bunny. You know? It's not. That is not fun. So yeah. I am picking on Ember Souls at the moment because it is the game that has brought a lot of my thoughts from the last 2 years to a head. It is one of the worst examples, if not the worst example, of the state of video games in the VR sphere. And I just wanted to air those thoughts, be eternally honest, and if I have offended anybody, if I've trod on anybody's toes, I do apologise. I'm not going to name anybody's name, but really, if you're gonna review a game, then please make it so that you have played the entire game all the way through, and you have witnessed everything, and you are prepared to showcase the good and the bad and the bloody terrible. So that's that from my shitty kitchen. Until the next time, I'll probably lose a lot of friends and subscribers and likes and bibbly bubbly bop bop. But that's what makes me different from everybody else. That's not the most important thing to me. The most important thing to me is being bloody honest. Cheers.